The following is a live sports event featuring the Abernathy Antelopes or Lady Lopes. This broadcast is a presentation of the Abernathy Sports Network and may not be altered or used in its entirety without the written consent from the Abernathy Sports Network. Today's broadcast is made possible by the fine supporters: MC Master Roofing and Construction, South Plains Auto Ranch, Clark Riley Insurance, April Funeral Home and Flower Shop, First Baptist Church, JC's Refrigeration, Storm Guard, Plains Land Bank, Nutrient Ag Solutions, the Junkin Farmers Market, MZJ Variety Shop, Shallowater, Rooted Revival Hair Salon, Chance Rocha, Edward Jones Financial Advisor, Code 3 Soda Shop and Meat Market, Lasso Electric, Webb Vision Center, Hill Vet, WTX Diesel, West Texas Brick and Stone, Rural Roots Medical Clinic, the Farmers Cooperative Compress, First State Bank, DB Media, Ty Horsford Realtor. Again, thank you for tuning in tonight's live sports event. It will begin shortly.
Quarter. There's an empty backfield looking to throw. Wiley swings it out over to the far side. Lots of room. 10-5 touchdown. Coming up. There's the snap. Another handoff underneath. And the first one there behind the line of scrimmage is number 50, Dyson Garcia. Sideline. Faking that, or that's actually the snap to Micheletti. Micheletti takes off. He may have his second touchdown of the night, and he does! Colt Micheletti from 28 yards. Riley 3 receiver set. There's Rolando in motion. He gets the pick, and he hits the hole hard. He's into the red zone. He's carrying tacklers. He's Superman into the end zone. Rolando Martinez on the second. And good evening, Abernathy, Texas, and good evening, fans of the Abernathy Antelopes and Lady Lopes, live on location tonight with Outside the Box. Ty Horsford alongside Chance Rocha. Like always, when we're on location, we are at the one and only Code 3 Soda Shop and Meat Market. We're here until 7 o'clock tonight, so we'd love for you to come out and see us and grab a quick bite to eat or a specialty drink of your choice. They can fix you up here at Code 3. We're again here until 7 o'clock with this week's episode of Outside the Box. So would love to see you out here this evening, Chance, and we'll go ahead and dive in to episode 12. It's hard to believe we're already 7 days deep into November. About time to start talking playoff football. Thankfully, we get to talk playoff football because up until Friday night, that kind of was in question, but a big performance by the Antelopes on Friday night against Olton. We'll get into that, talk kind of some playoff scenarios and different things, and preview a big one with the Post Antelopes coming up on Friday night. Thought that it might be different stakes when the season started, when these two teams met, but nonetheless an important matchup between the Abernathy Antelopes and the Post Antelopes on Friday night. We'll get into that as well. But as always, we want to jump into kind of our look around AISD, kind of the whole reason we call our show Outside the Box. We like to take a look at Outside the Box.
That's right, we do, Ty. And it's been a big, busy week, as it always is here in Abernathy with all the things going on. And kind of starting out, it was a big week for FFA. They were up in Indianapolis for the National FFA Convention, and they didn't just go to see and to learn, Ty. They went out there and they brought back some hardware. You had a couple national champions. Lindsey Johnson and AgriScience Research Plant Systems brought home a national championship, and then also national champions Kara Phillips and Cooper Martin also brought home a national championship as well. And then Aspen Jeter, I believe, brought home 8th place in the animal science category.
And I tell you what, that is FFA and these ag competitions are kind of the one thing that you get past the state level when you're in high school, and you can compete at the national level. And so just a huge accomplishment. Obviously, Abernathy kind of known statewide, but I guess maybe you could even say nationwide for our agriculture program over at the school. And so they do a great job and just affords these students lots of opportunities. Not only do they get to travel to a place like Indianapolis, Chance, but there are all sorts of scholarships and different opportunities through these FFA competitions that these students have.
Yeah, it definitely is, Ty. And then just being able to say, like you said, nationally ranked. Not only are you recognized there, but you bring home that hardware for your program, and it just goes to show the program that you've had at Abernathy and just things that they do in the ag and ag science department, Ty. And, it's funny, a lot of girl names or women's names right there on that. And fun fact for FFA, they have those fun facts about each state, and Texas has more women working in agriculture and agri-science than any other state in the U.S. So I thought that was a pretty cool fact, the fact that we had so many young women represented at the FFA competition.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. As a chance we roll on, let's talk a little bit about the high school Taffy organization. Again, don't know exactly what that stands for other than it's future educators, and that's people that are interested in kind of going into some form of education after they graduate. Members, I think it was mostly upperclassmen, but upperclassmen members of the Taffy organization got to attend the EduCon event at the Region 17 Service Center last week, and really just an opportunity to give these students, again, and I feel like we talk about things like this with our high school students almost on a weekly basis, just to where they get to connect to people of professions and industries that they might be interested in. It's just opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to get these students in front of industry professionals and colleges and military and all sorts of different things. But a cool opportunity for some of those Taffy students this last week.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, this one's a little bit more targeted because it is for like the teachers and the future educators. And so a little bit more targeted, them to learn a little bit more about the role that Region 17 plays kind of in all that stuff and in our area. But it's an exciting time for them, for those students that do want to go into the educational field, because that's an important one. We see the impact that these teachers and educators have on our young students here at Abernathy, so it's good for them to see what kind of impact that has and the things that their opportunities are out there for them for sure. So.
Yeah, and Chance, I know you had an opportunity to attend this next event, and I know they did this last year. I don't know if it happened before that or not, but last night, the Abernathy High School Spanish Club hosted their Celebration of Life event, Dios de los Muertos, and a cool event, just kind of celebrating culture and heritage and different thing of the Hispanic community.
Yeah, it definitely was, Ty. And we got there a little bit late. It was from 6 to 8, but we were able to get there, and they had all different kinds of desserts and drinks, and then had a mariachi band that was playing, and the students did some projects that were all on displays. They had, I believe, the Spanish 2 students did alebrijas, which is kind of like a spirit animal. They made them out of paper mache. All different kind of ones, very, very colorful, and it's depicted in the movie Coco if you've never seen it, Tom. But it's a pretty cool thing. It actually started back in the 1930s by a Mexican artist in Mexico City, but it's a cool thing that they do to kind of celebrate that Mexican culture. And then I believe the Spanish 1 students or some of the other students made ofrendas, which are essentially kind of like an altar that remembers a loved one that has passed or someone that has moved on. So it has candles and pictures and different things that represent them and the things that remind them of those people. So it was a pretty cool event. They had them all displayed in the library, and a pretty good turnout for them. And like I said, the music was hopping, and the cookies were good, and they had all the aguas frescas you could drink.
I am glad you are the one that was tasked with throwing out some of those names, because I never would have pulled it off as seamlessly as you did, Chance. And so, but again, just a cool thing that our Spanish club does. Also a really awesome thing that I know this has been around for years in the community of Abernathy, and the school always does a great job with it, is just a tremendous Veterans Day program. That is coming up. It is open to the public. That will be on Tuesday, November 11th, which is actually Veterans Day, at 10 o'clock. And that will be, I believe, in the Antelope High School gym. So invite everybody to come out and enjoy that. Students always do a great job kind of spearheading that, leading that program, lots of different things. They always invite lots of veterans there that will be kind of honored. I know they're doing a breakfast for them that morning and some different things as well. So definitely, if you've never been out to a Veterans Day program here in Abernathy, they really are an event worth checking out.
Yeah, it's definitely top tier, and they do a good job, like you said, of paying honor to them, recognizing them, and just making all the students in the area see the importance of it. And so it's a good little program that they put on, Ty.
And then you're fixing to experience a chance geek out a little bit, and he is our snapshot day professional here on Outside the Box. But it was a big day on October 31st. We mentioned that last week, kind of where high schools across the state turn in their high school attendance numbers that are used every 2 years to redistrict teams and schools in the state of Texas. I guess it's not just athletics, it's academically as well. And when you're looking at classes 1A through 6A and whatnot, Chance. And so all of those schools had to turn in numbers. Those have been turned in. We don't know new districts yet.
Right.
We won't know that until February. So between now and then, there will be lots of guessing and this and that or the other. So long story short, nobody really knows, but we can talk about kind of some of the schools that turned in more than last time, or maybe some, in a lot of cases, that turned in less.
Yeah, there was definitely a big disparity in some of the groups. I think, one of the biggest numbers, which it's going to keep them in the same area, Post dropped about 30 students, so they're at 214, a lot closer to where you are this year. You only dropped about 8 students. You reported 220. Abernathy did. Newdale did drop quite a few, about 30 kids.
But they're going to stay.
They're going to stay as well. They'll be at 208. Floydada reported 200, which is just down from 209, so they're staying in the same spot as well. And then Olton is kind of right on the line. The line last year to be big school was 181, and they reported 186. But I think the biggest one out of our district and out of this area is going to be New Home. If they stay, then they'll likely probably end up dropping. They reported 177, which is below the number. We've heard different things about redistricting. Everyone thinks the number's going to go up, but the way some of the bigger schools are doing it, and schools are opting out and opting up to different divisions, the number could go down. So you may not see as many shuffling as you think, but those are the ones in our district. I know there's a couple other ones in the area that have kind of has an impact on you playoff-wise and basketball and other things. I think the biggest names that we looked at were, teams like West Texas Stinnett, who is essentially leading the district up north. They're the number 1 seed right now. Stanford, who is out of a different region, who was the state runner-up last year in football. Both of those teams likely going to drop down to Division II. And then you have teams like Anson and Panhandle, perennial playoff teams and multiple different sports. They're on the bubble as well. And then I think the biggest one that me and you probably don't want to see drop.
Because it'll put them in the same division as Abernathy.
It would. You wouldn't play them in district, but you're likely would run into them.
We don't think.
But you would likely run into them in every single category in the playoffs as Canadian. They're coming down by about 44 students. They're going to drop from like 290-something to about 241, which would make them one of the biggest two-way schools in the state. The number last year for the big school division was 253. It'll probably get bumped up. Like I said, there's all different prognosticators that are saying what could happen, and so we'll kind of see how those things line out. But that kind of gives you an idea of the snapshot. But we got to wait until February to know some of the rest of the things.
Well, and Chance, the crazy thing that I look at is literally not everyone's going to drop a classification, but every single school in our district turned in less enrollment than what they did 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that's just kind of an odd thing, or if some of these small rural towns are I don't know.
Yeah, if they're not growing.
I don't know what you contribute that to. I know, for example, here in Abernathy, we've got a couple of pretty small classes in the high school right now, and this is just high school enrollment. It's not school district overall, but then you look at some of our elementary classes, and they are huge. And so it may be similar situations elsewhere too. We don't really know, but lots of schools turning in less numbers this go round.
Yeah, they definitely are. And even the disparity tie in the bigger school districts, we kind of talked about how it's a trickle-down effect. And there was talks of 7A and adding that and not just having 6A, or you have 6A and 2 classifications. But I think the bigger schools are getting bigger. The smaller schools almost across the board, like you said, have dropped in numbers just slightly. There's a couple that it went up just slightly, but across the board, mostly they have dropped in numbers. And so it's just one of those things you never know. And we kind of joked about this the other day when we were talking about it. You have a friendship school that they just opened a brand new school, and somehow that school has more kids than the original
Friendship High School.
And
yep.
It's by about 200 students or 300 students, but still, that's a big difference when you have that.
Yep.
And then you have, Cooper adding their school, so their numbers get split. But then you have
and then you've got students leaving LISD and transferring into Friendship and Cooper, and so the Lubbock ISD schools are not growing, and so it just kind of changes the landscape of what we've always known.
Yep, you do. And then, the biggest one that's crazy to me, and I've said it multiple times, is you have a school like Allen who's reporting almost 2,400 kids than the closest school at 6,000, and the nearest school to them is 4,000.
Yeah,
which is crazy when
yep.
you look at it. And so it's all, like I said, you just don't know until they kind of put out the numbers. But it would be, however you play it, you're probably going to end up with the same few 5-6 teams maybe, but you could end up with an 8-team district, and they could change things up big time.
And you could go south, you could go north. We just really don't know
go side to side,
what the east and west. Yeah, I don't know. It's only the UIL will let us know that again come February. Let's take a quick timeout, just briefly, Chance, and we will come back and take a look at This Week in Sports in Abernathy, Texas. West Texas Brick and Stone provides all the materials you need for your next custom masonry project. We are locally owned and operated, as well as family run. We have 35 years of experience in the industry, and we take pride in our customer service and industry experience. Come see us today at 405 North Interstate 27 in Lubbock to get the ball rolling on your next project. At West Texas Brick and Stone, we are happy to support Abernathy's young people and are wishing them the best of luck this season. And here we are back outside the box, but we are inside Code 3 Soda Shop and Meat Market here tonight in Abernathy, Texas. And still have time to come out and say hello and grab a beverage of your choice, or grab a quick bite to eat. And would love to see you out here. We're here until 7 o'clock tonight at Code 3 in Abernathy. As we kind of take a look this week in sports, Chance, around Abernathy ISD. Obviously, we kind of previewed it a little bit last week, but kind of a historic volleyball match as far as Abernathy was concerned last week, as your first ever playoff appearance and just your second ever varsity volleyball season. And you thought this might happen. Abernathy goes on the road to River Road, and they did get beat in 3 sets to the top seed Sanford Fritch Eagles, and they lost fairly handedly in that matchup. But again, it was a step forward for this program just to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, just to be in the playoffs, and like you said, in your second season, and just to continue building, you're going to not graduate anybody, so you're going to continue to be able to have all those girls come back and just build off of that, and just know, like, hey, okay, you wanted to win a game your first season, then now you're like, hey, we want to win the district games. You make playoffs, and now it's like, okay, hey, let's go out there and battle and possibly try to win a district title, or finish in a number 2 seed or whatever it may be. So just continuing to build that program. Excited for Coach Thompson and for those volleyball girls for sure.
And then on the cross-country side, Chance officially wrapped up their season over the weekend on Saturday. You had an athlete in Brianna Shorter. She's a junior. She played volleyball in Amarillo on Thursday night. She hopped in the Suburban. They got to the Austin area around 2 o'clock in the morning. On Friday, she turns around on Saturday and runs in the state cross-country meet, as Bree was our lone runner at the state cross-country meet this year. She finishes 93rd out of 150 runners with a time of 13:51. They run 2 miles, Chance, and that's a sub 7 minutes a mile. I'd say that's pretty fast, and she still plays 93rd. But Bree representing Abernathy cross country at the highest level. And then she was back at it last night for a basketball scrimmage. And so these athletes just do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, she literally went from one part of the state to another to come all the way back and do something else on 3 different things, from volleyball to cross country to basketball. And so it just shows the commitment to that. And like we always talk about, it shows the commitment to our administrators, our coaches, to be able to get the girls where they want to be, or boys for that matter, and just be able to let them have opportunity to compete in whatever sports they want to, and just giving them the ability to have success in those for sure.
And a Chance, it's hard to believe, but hardwood season is here for the Abernathy Lady Lopes.
Yep.
They officially started their season over the weekend as they participated in a 4-team scrimmage at Brownfield on Saturday. And they I think they play a couple of quarters against each team
like 2 quarters.
there. Yeah, something like that. But battled Brownfield, Tahoka, and Estacado. They were minus Bree Shorter in that matchup, which Bree expected to be one of the leaders on the Lady Lopes team. But even minus that, the girls performed really, really well. They beat Tahoka and they beat Brownfield in the 2 quarters. Fell just short to Estacado, a 4A school. But again, a good start to the season. Then I know last night they kind of had a scrimmage with Idalou. Idalou down some of their players. They're still playing volleyball. And so can't take a whole lot from the results of these scrimmages. But they do it for real coming up, I believe, on Saturday is their first game, and they're starting with a bang. One of the most traditional powers in the state of Texas in girls basketball, the Nazareth Swiftettes, on Saturday. That'll be a Saturday afternoon affair for the Abernathy Lady Lopes. And Chance, we wanted to spend a little bit of time tonight with the Lady Lopes starting their season, chatting about their program, what to expect, previewing their season just a little bit. And this week we had an opportunity to catch up with the head man himself.
No, we definitely did. We were able to sit down and interview with them, and it went very well. I'm excited bringing in a new coach, and he was excited about the program, but don't want to spoil it too much. We'll let you kind of listen to that interview, and we'll recap it.
Here is Adam Zapata, first-year Lady Lope head coach.
And here we are with Coach Zapata, the new girls basketball coach. Coach, thank you for taking some time with us today. For Outside the Box, first season at Abernathy as a Lady Lopes head coach. What made this job opportunity enticing? I know you come from Floydada. Kind of talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a school that, people always want to come to, type of schools like here, Shallow Water, those type of caliber teams. And I put Abernathy in that caliber. I mean, so when I got a phone call, my eyes lit up. I was happy. I was excited for the opportunity because I knew what they had coming back.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that, Abernathy being a place, like you said, culturally, there's an expectation there. And, I'd seen you past few years, what you've done at Floydada. So I think that you're a great fit for that culture in Abernathy. So I just want to tell you that too. But I appreciate you saying that about Abernathy because this is a place that's special for sure to me and Ty and a lot of people in town. So can you talk about this year's squad, the makeup? You kind of mentioned you had some people coming back. What excites you the most about this year's team?
Today was like day one again. I've had like 3 day ones where you had basketball and then the girls from volleyball and now the girls from cross country. So it's been 3 day ones. So it's been exciting. The makeup of this team, this is just our strength in numbers. We have 10 girls solid. There's not much of a hole in our team. I told the girls today, we're as good as our weakest link, and our weakest link is pretty dang good. We have great senior leadership. We have a lot of girls coming back. Okay, the expectations were up here. Not going to change. Expectations stay the same. And so the girls are excited for the change, and I'm excited to see the direction we're heading.
Awesome. So I know you officially kind of had your season opener this past weekend in a Brownfield, kind of a round-robin scrimmage thing. What were some takeaways you saw from that?
Man, I saw a lot of good things. I saw our team chemistry. I saw the way we played together as a team. We're able to give up a good shot for a great shot. It's with something they hadn't really done much, in the past, and so it was unfamiliar territory for them. But I saw it this weekend. We shared the ball. We passed the ball around. We made some mistakes because we were too passive, and so I said we can fix that. We can grow from that. But overall, the team morale, the culture that was on the bench, it was just exciting for them, and it was just really good basketball.
Awesome. So you kind of mentioned some of that, kind of like passing up good for great, those kind of things. What are some big keys you think for this team for them to be successful as the season goes on?
I think what's going to help us be successful is how we share the basketball and how we really slow down and look inside for our post players and then knock down the shots when they come to us. And just taking what's given to us, being able to attack the driving lanes and just really just play basketball. And that's why I tell the girls all the time, if you'll just play basketball, we'll be fine.
Gotcha. Kind of do what they know how to do and focus on
do what they know how to do, what they've been trained to do. I know the previous coach here, he did a lot of good things with them. So there's a lot of things that we can build on. That's all I'm doing is building off the success they've had in the past, what their strengths were, and work on our weaknesses.
Awesome. I know it's early, and you don't want to get too far ahead. You got plenty of games coming up, but once you get into district and talk about the district that's coming back, how you see that shaping up this year?
I think this is going to be tough. New Home's they brought some girls back. They're going to be tough. They played a lot of ball this summer. They played some caliber teams this summer as well. So that's going to be a team that we're going to have to really show up and play. Of course, New Deal brings most of their girls back. They've got a new coach, so I'm interested to see what they're going to do. But other than that, I mean, it's wide open. If we do what we're supposed to do, we'll be there in the end. But it's definitely going to have to show up every single night and play our best ball.
Gotcha. So, Coach, we talked plenty of basketball. You kind of talked about the beginning of the season, what your expectations are, how to be successful. Outside of basketball, kind of tell us what makes up you, what makes you tick outside of being, a basketball coach.
Man, I'm a family man. I've got a great family. I've got 4 great kids and then 4 step kids. So there's always something fun going on, whether we're doing something together as a family or if we're out shooting hoops or we're doing stuff together. Coach Zepeda is a family guy, a God-fearing guy. And so just a guy that just loves to be around kids, loves to get the best out of their kids. And so, I mean, Abernathy has been great to me. I appreciate all the support so far. We have the best parents ever. Okay, they've done everything without even me having to ask, and so they're on top of it. So that makes my job a lot easier for sure. And I have great assistant coaches from junior high all the way up, Coach King, Coach Gowan, Coach Rose. I mean, they're phenomenal. So we've definitely grown together, okay, and so it's just been great. I can't wait to keep the ball rolling.
Awesome. Coach, I appreciate you taking the time with us, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all.
And there is first-year Abernathy Lady Lope head basketball coach Adam Zepeda. And Chance, obviously, I think you could probably tell from that interview, he's a very likable guy. Yep. He's a guy that is meshed really well, I feel like, with the rest of the coaching staff. Obviously, he had praise for his assistant coaches. Seems like there's good camaraderie there. Heard lots of good things from people in the school system about Coach Zepeda. And so going to be interesting to see what he does this year with the Abernathy Lady Lopes.
Yeah, definitely will. And I thought it was funny. We got there a little early for our interview, and they were finishing up practice, and we could see him. He was pulling those girls together and kind of had them in a circle and was talking to them. And then, we just look up, and then you can see the girls pointing to the door, and they're like, "Hey, there's some guys standing out there." He's like, "Oh, my interview." But it was just funny for him to see that. And we told him, "Hey, go finish your thing, do your thing." And he let us in, but then, went back out there and finished up the practice with them and just talking about the importance of creating a culture. And I think he's a guy that me and you both think that he is going to set the standard for that. The fact that he left a program that was pretty good.
Well, his hometown.
Yeah.
He left his hometown.
His hometown. And he just mentioned that too. Like when you take a opportunity like, Abernathy, he's like, that's one of those schools where you're like, yeah, if I can have a chance.
And I think we take that for granted sometimes.
Yeah. I think that we do because you're kind of used to it. And I think that for him speaking so highly of it, but also speaking so highly of the program that was already here and the girls that were coming back and what he saw and the things that he was like, I'm not trying to change a whole lot. I'm just trying to make tweaks to make things, hey, this is how we can play. We can share the ball a little bit more. We can make sure that we are playing as a team. And he mentioned it, passing up a good shot for a great shot. Just some little things, some little nuances that he wants to bring as a coach to the program.
And I think that's probably, Chance, the biggest difference or the biggest change you might see if, obviously, we had a really good basketball team last year.
Yeah.
If they had a downfall, if they had a weakness, they relied too much on one scorer, and they maybe didn't share the ball as good as they were capable of, and ultimately ran into a good team like Panhandle, and ultimately they're good enough to beat you in that way. And so I think it's going to be really interesting to see. I think you're going to see a lot of different girls step up into leadership roles. And he talked a little bit about the leadership coming back. You've got like a Bree Shorter and a Kendall Miller. You've got some girls inside that at the Class 2A level chance should be a force with their size in Easterwood and Bloskus. And so you got lots coming back to go with a healthy mix of newcomers as well.
You definitely do. And you essentially have 4 or 5 girls that all had probably started a game last year. So you are losing McKaylin, and, that's one of those things where you lose a player that was your prominent scorer, was the kind of a ball-centric person, but also she had the capability of doing that. But when you, like you said, you play teams that are like, hey, if we shut that down, and that's kind of where your offense ran through, it can kind of put you in different situations. And I like the fact that Coach Cepeda even talked about, like, hey, we do want to share the ball, but also we don't want to be too timid with it. We still want to make sure that we are attacking the basket and going and doing things that being confident in ourselves too, and not just worrying about passing the ball around too much. And so trying to find that happy medium, but I'm excited. I'm excited to see what the season brings, and I think they're going to go out and compete for a district championship, I believe.
Yeah, and when you look at the district, obviously you've got to play the games. Shocker, New Home. Going to be the team to beat for the Lady Lopes, I feel like. Obviously, you never know how things are going to play out. You could have injuries and different things, but New Home's going to present a challenge for sure on the hardwood. They were your top challenger a year ago as well. I expect that to be the same. You mentioned McKaylin Marshall. She did score 10 points in her first ever college game a couple of nights ago for Tulane, so a good ball player for sure there. But excited to see what the new look Lady Lopes bring to the table under Coach Adam Cepeda. And so we will kind of monitor that and keep up with how they are doing as season rolls along. Chances we switch from girls basketball, still on the football field on the boys' side, sub-varsity, kind of a mixed bag of tricks against Olton last week. 7th grade, they're kind of rolling now. They've got some things working. They've won a few games in a row now. They get a big win over Olton. The 8th grade, they're having a tough time. They lose another lopsided ball game to Olton. And then JV, again, they're minus a lot of players due to some guys that have gotten moved up to fill the varsity team, but they continue to battle. They lost a tough one, 14-12, in the final seconds to Olton last week.
Yeah, it was a tough one for them, Ty. They battled back and they scored to get the 12, the lead when they got to 12 points, and kind of went down and holding penalty at the last second, and they ran one more play, and Alton was able to pull it off. But they battled all the way to the very end. Like you said, guys moved up from JV. They had some guys that were injured, but that JV team's going out there and still battling it out because, they know those reps are important, and they know that, hey, it may be my turn to be called up, and you've seen some of those guys that got called up have some success for the Lopes too. So
Friday night was a lopsided affair as well, Chance, and luckily it was in favor of the Abernathy Antelopes. We talked about it being a matchup where the winner would clinch their playoff spot. The loser would be starting basketball after this week. And the Abernathy Antelopes, and Chance, you just go, when you really take a step back and think about it, you go in with a quarterback that's probably your third-string quarterback because he was the JV starter. You lost your starting quarterback for several weeks. You lost your starting running back for the year, who was your backup quarterback. You lost one of your best receivers and defenders in Case. You've had a number of other injuries over the course of the season as well. And you put together a complete performance, really for the first time in several weeks. You felt like you were kind of bebopping along, and then you come out knowing what's at stake. Because I meant to look this up, and I didn't. A pretty long streak of Antelope teams that have made the postseason. Don't know the last time they didn't, and that was in jeopardy on Friday night. And Abernathy steps up in a big, big way, and they get a 70-15 win. That's right. They hang 70 on the Olton Mustangs on Friday night.
Yeah, you hang 70, and that's kind of calling the dogs off there and having a running clock the entire second half, and even in doing that, Ty, you answered the call. You went out there and just kind of dominated. You outgained Olton 582 yards to 161. You had 431 yards rushing, and you were led by three guys who had over 100 yards. Malachi Walters kind of set the tone, had 155 yards rushing, didn't get in the end zone, but he was kind of the bell cow. He led you in carries. And then you had Caden Bird, who had 126 yards rushing. Go figure, right? Flying all over.
On 5 carries.
On 5 carries, yeah. He had 3 rushing touchdowns. And then, you had Aiden Villarreal, who got a lot of carries in the second half. And, he just ended up with 115 yards and 3 touchdowns as well. And so, very, very, I kept saying it on Friday, everybody eats. And everybody, just kept going out there and putting their head down. And talking to some of the coaches, Ty, they mentioned it was the most complete game, but also the most complete week they had at practice. Just the fire and the grit. And I think they kind of recognize, like, hey, if we want to keep playing this game this year, we got to go out there and perform. And preparing all week, it definitely showed on Friday night. As you mentioned, it was kind of our most overall complete game that we've had this season.
And Cutter does well at quarterback. Kind of leading up to it, there was a little bit of question on whether he would start or if Jagger would start. You get a huge lift, I feel like, with Jagger being in the lineup on defense, and also a 10 of 10 extra point night for Jagger. So I think that's an emotional boost to your team for sure. But Cutter gets the start at quarterback. He plays really, really well. 6 of 10 through the air, 151 yards. He had big pass plays to Minfield and Bird. Also rushed for 25 yards, a complete game performance, by far his best of his young varsity career as well. And then how about Gio Soto on the defensive side of the ball? He leads your team in tackles, and it was a defensive effort that held Olton to just about 150 yards of total offense.
Yeah, it definitely was, and he's one of those guys, Ty, he just got called up a couple weeks ago too, but his speed, he's not a huge guy, but his speed out there, he was definitely able to get a lot of open field tackles. He saved one touchdown saving tackle. I think that Olton still punched in the end zone a few plays later, but it was one of those ones where it looked like the guy was going to get all the way to the end zone, and he kind of chases him down. But he gives you a little bit more depth at kind of like that linebacker secondary position that they play, depending on who you're playing. But between him and Wiley coming back, that definitely stymied Olton's passing attack, because you had some guys out there that are able to cover and give you an opportunity to have some speed on the edge for sure.
Yep, and so, Chance, it's just crazy. We're sitting here throwing out all these names of people that are your leaders, and they're players that we never really expected to be having conversations about at the varsity level. So lots of guys stepping up into key roles to clinch a playoff spot. Really, it was a game, Chance. You kind of got some early breaks. You jumped on them quick, and you just kind of rode the wave of momentum that never died, that never quit. And so we'll see what this week looks like, where we'll preview the post matchup here in a second. Don't know what your quarterback position is going to look like. Don't know how Jagger's progressing there. Obviously, if he gets to a point that he can go, you would expect him to go. But in the meantime, Cutter kind of stepping in and doing what he can to fill the gap, and he's doing a nice job as well. And so we'll kind of just keep an eye out. Obviously, the coaches are at practice, and that they will make those decisions, and just trust that those will be the best. But you're putting your best foot forward for sure. Other district results, Chance, on Friday night, a couple of games that weren't overly close. As New Deal and New Home, as New Deal had an opportunity to kind of clinch an outright district championship. That game was close for 2 quarters, maybe 2.5 quarters. But a big second half leads New Home to a 29-7 win over the Lions. And so that kind of muddies the water in the district post. They blow out Florida 62-0, Chance. And so when you look at it heading into this week, kind of the updated district standings, you've already got your 4 playoff teams set. Seeding is a different story, though, as you've got New Home, New Deal, and Post all at 3-1 in district place, and then you've got Abernathy at 2-2. They are 4th currently, and then Olton in 5th at 1-3. They will miss the postseason, as well as Florida at 0-4. And lots of different playoff scenarios, Chance. Obviously, Abernathy, that's the main one we're concerned with. Yep. And the thing to know about them, you beat Post on Friday, you're probably the 3 seed. If you lose to Post on Friday, you're more than likely the 4 seed.
Yeah, and the way it's kind of shaping out, Post could jump all the way to the 2 seed. Highly unlikely, just the way things are lined out. Olton would have to beat New Home, and then they have the tiebreaker of the New Home to kind of jump the spot. And so you don't want to worry about that because you want to beat Post anyways. Post has to beat you, and Olton has to upset New Home, but likely it's going to land out. New Home's going to get the 1 seed. They'll play Amarillo Highland Park, which is the 4 seed out of the region or the district up north. Newdale will be the 2 seed. They'll face Spearman, and then you're likely going to either face West Texas Net or Panhandle, whoever you.
And those are it doesn't really matter which of those two you face.
They're 1 point difference in their game.
They're both having incredible years, and you're going to run into a buzzsaw either way in the first round of the playoffs. But that's kind of what's at stake.
Yep.
As you talk about it, Chance, when we were kind of doing our football preview show several weeks ago, talked about that it was possible Abernathy and Post could be playing for a district championship. That is not the case.
Yeah.
Both of those teams dealing with adversity over the course of the season. Those are just things you can't predict. And so they're battling it out for 3rd and 4th place instead in the district. And so we'll kind of keep an eye on that Friday night, look around the district to kind of try and let you know what playoff scenarios are looking like. But nonetheless, as we kind of jump into a preview of Post, Chance, it's still a big game. You're not playing for a district championship, but you're riding that wave of momentum off of a huge win over Olton. Post obviously blew out Floydada. I don't know how much momentum you get from that, just because as bad as Floydada is. But you've got 2 teams that are really trying to head into the postseason on a high note.
Yeah, they are tied. Post is going to be the 3 seed most likely if they beat you, but if you beat them, not only are they the 4 seed, but it knocks them out even to share the district title, and they would be able to say, oh, we back-to-back district, whatever it may be. And so just having a little bit of that, plus you're playing for a little bit of revenge. They came over here for a district title, and they beat you on your home field. You'd like to go and kind of return the favor and beat them there in Post this coming up Friday. And I think that if you prepared the same way you did against Olton, I think you have a good shot, but you're definitely going to run up into a much tougher team than you did the Olton Mustangs.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chance, you've still got a formidable foe in Post. They've kind of had maybe not the season they expected, but they're still 7-2. Only lost 2 games all year, just 1 game in district. I feel like they're probably getting some of their injured guys back. Yeah. They seem the last couple of weeks they've played better. And so we'll kind of see how that plays out. Their biggest win on the season was a 28-27 win over the New Home Leopards a couple of weeks ago. And obviously we saw firsthand how good that New Home team was. And so will be interesting to see how that plays out. Their 2 losses, a close one to Farwell and a close one to New Deal.
Matchups matter.
And matchups matter. You just never know. And so it'll be interesting to see how Abernathy matches up with Post on Friday night. On average, Chance, they are scoring almost 40 points a game, outscoring their opponents 38-17 on the season. And some people to keep an eye on, and a name that we remember from a year ago, their quarterback, Josh Shigura, 50% completion percentage. He throws for about 120 yards per game. It starts with him, but they also like to run the ball.
Yeah, Brandon Curtis, he's their leading rusher with 130 yards per game, and they're going to rely on that rushing attack. Number 1, they feel like they can control the line of scrimmage. Number 2, they control the pace of the game. And so if they can control that, that's kind of what they did to New Home to keep them in the game, keep it low scoring, and then did the same thing to New Deal. Kept it low scoring and then kind of got some stops and were able to kind of run away with it at the end. But I think at the end of the day, Ty, they're going to be up front a lot tougher than Olton is. Skill position-wise, you may still be pretty even, but I think the line of scrimmage is going to be definitely big for you this week.
And that's the thing. Post is going to be physical up front, and you're going to have to be able to handle that and manage that. If you're not, if you let them bully you around, it could be a long night for, I was going to say the Antelopes, but for the Abernathy Antelopes, it's going to be, I guarantee you the Antelopes will win.
That's true.
Whatever happens
Maroon or gold,
on Friday night. But Chances, you take a look at keys to the game.
MC Master.
Yep.
Okay.
MC Master Roofing and Construction, keys to the game. I think they're pretty simple this week.
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself. Penalties and takeaways. You could almost make that a key to the game every single week. And then I think it's a game that you can't get behind early. If you get behind early, I think Post is going to be able to just kind of settle into a groove and kind of grind it out. Mm-hmm. When Abernathy's been successful this year, they've started fast. Yeah. They've gotten a lead and kind of rode that momentum, and then if you've got a chance to get off the field, you're going to have to get off the fild. Post is going to want to extend drives, kind of wear your defense down, control time of possession. So if you get them to third down, you've got to get stops.
You definitely do, and I like the way you said that, Ty. You want to be able to strike early, and I think that kind of triggers something, especially in this group. Anytime we've scored early, it's like on defense you come out and they're like, we want the ball back so we can score again. And being able to ride that wave has definitely, done well for the Lopes. And penalties and takeaways, you mentioned it. I think even more so after you had the penalties, there were just the false starts, those kind of things. Those will hurt you in a game that's close. Against Olton, you're able to get some big plays that kind of negated some of those things, but against a team like Post that's probably going to be very sound and not have a lot of penalties, you cannot turn the ball over and you cannot hurt yourself with penalties, especially, once you get down into the red zone and past the 50. If, it's 1st and 10 and you have a false start and it's 1st and 20, and then Post is going to kind of pin their ear back and come after you. Yep. So I also think that for them, they're going to try to run the ball. I think for us to be successful,
I agree.
Heavy dose to Malachi, kind of set the tone up front, and then get it to number 0. Get it to your playmakers. And we don't know who it's going to be, whether it's Jagger or Cutter, either one. Even if you're just getting Jagger back, you're going to want some high percentage, easy completion throws. Some short out routes, some crossing patterns, some things that are going to build both of their confidences. Cutter, still being young, growing into this role, wanting to see those receivers catch the ball. And then also Jagger getting him back, getting that shoulder back into playing shape. Again, we don't know who the starter is going to be on Friday. Hopefully we'll know by Friday at game time. But regardless, whoever it is, you want to give them high percentage passes so that way they can feel comfortable in the pocket, and then just being able to give them time back there. But I think running the ball is going to open that up for you. Sure.
Chance, the last 2 weeks you've run the ball for over 400 yards and had 3 100-yard rushers in each one of those games. And so I think you don't look far to see those are 2 of the more successful games you've had all year long, and it started on the ground. And obviously with the injuries, your schemes and your game plans have kind of changed a little bit. Obviously with Jagger in there and the massive amounts of receiving core that you had to start the year. You threw the ball a lot more. It just kind of had to adapt to all the injuries and different things. And so we will see how that plays out, Chance. And as we kind of predict and talk about this one as well as the other games in the district, we'll start with New Home and Olton. As, again, New Home can clinch the number 1 seed in the district with a win over the Olton Mustangs. I believe that game's in Olton, if I'm not mistaken. I think New Home wins this one. I think Olton will be checked out. Obviously, they're playing their final game of the season. I've got New Home over Olton 49-14.
Yeah, I think so too. And I don't know if Olton's going to be checked out, but I think New Home's going to kind of come in saying, you know what, we don't want to leave any doubt. They're going on the road. They're probably going to start off hot. New Home's very sound as far as their skill play was, and that's something that I think that just seeing them earlier on and then seeing Olton, I think that they're going to kind of be too much for Olton to handle. I have New Home winning 42-21.
I like it. And then you got New Deal going on the road to Floydada. Floydada likely going to finish the Ophir season. You would expect a tough year for the Whirlwinds. I've got New Deal beating Floydada 41-8 in their season finale.
Yeah, I got New Deal winning 42-14. I think that maybe Floydada will get some garbage time points or sneak one through there. They were a team that battled against us.
It'll be senior night. Maybe they're playing with a little bit of momentum, but
you never know.
I just don't think they've got the talent to compete.
No, but I think that they may get some, just getting maybe – they've only scored, 16 points all season, and so that would be a high note for them to go out putting some more points on the board. But the big ones, Friday night, Ty and Post, the battle of Antelope Supremacy.
Yeah, and we've got our predictions written here on our notes, and mine literally says I don't know because I have no idea what to expect on Friday night. I'm going to say 28-21 Antelopes.
I like it. Which one?
Antelopes. No, I'm going to say I'll take Abernathy 28-21 on the road.
I like that. Kind of. What are you feeling? Like it's going to be an offensive game, defensive game, big stop, big play? What are you thinking?
I think it's going to be more of a defensive battle. I think Abernathy has shown that they can score. I think I think Post's defense is better than what you have faced the last 2 weeks. Obviously, if it's Cutter, I think he's going to see a different speed of defense than he's seen so far. If it's Jagger, obviously you'd love to have his experience in there, but he'll also be maybe dealing with not playing in 3 weeks.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, you're going to kind of have to get up to game speed in that. And so I really think this is going to be a grinded out type of game and maybe one that, could be 7-7 at halftime or something like that. And then maybe it opens up a little bit in the second half. But Abernathy, I think, has their work cut out for them for sure.
I think they do too, Ty. I think that, I think they have had another great week in practice. I think they're just kind of on the prize, a little bit more momentum, a little bit more excitement. I think that you want to go into playoffs on a high note, and then also, like I said, the revenge aspect of it. But I got Abernathy winning 35-28. I think it's going to be you're going to jump out early, possibly. I think maybe
if you don't, I think it could. I think that favors Post.
Yeah, I think that you're going to get a score early, maybe up 14-0, maybe go into halftime up 14-7, and then kind of trade blows right after halftime. That's kind of how it was last year, and but I still think we're going to pull it out. I think Post has opportunity that if they get behind, I don't know if their offense is built to kind of come back to you because they do want to control the clock. And so I think trying to put some points on them early is going to be kind of your key to success. So I see that may be what the Lopes try to do and we come away with one on victory, and you go into playoffs as a 3 seed and probably playing Panhandle. Likely playing Panhandle.
Yeah, if that's the case, depending on how that district.
60 points a game. But matchups matter.
You just never know.
Panhandle beat Spearman 70-0, and then West Texas Net barely beat them 38 to whatever it was.
But that game was really close for a while, yeah.
And so you just never know, and who's going to show up, what's going to show up. I mean, Alton's played some teams tough, and then they come over here and you just put the grind.
I'm not surprised we beat Alton. I was surprised we beat them the way we did.
And I think it's like you said, when the iron gets hot and you keep striking it, that's kind of what we rode, and it was just like, man.
It's not necessarily you're 70-15 better than Alton, but just everything was bouncing your way, and you seized the momentum, and you never let go of it.
You did. I mean, from play calling to catching the passes that were thrown and just making the right plays when the opportunity was there to make a play. And I think if you continue to do that, you're going to have a successful game on Friday night, and I'm excited. It's going to be a tough one sitting in the stands with the fans broadcasting, but,
Yeah, not my favorite place to broadcast the game from, but at least the weather will be kind to us, it looks like.
Yeah,
so
I think it will be.
Well, good deal. As we'll wrap up the show for tonight. Chance, obviously, next week we will be back at our normal time, 8 o'clock. We will talk playoffs. We'll talk some different things, and basketball. We'll know by then when and where probably the Antelopes are going to play, and against two, which again it will likely be Panhandle or Stinnett, which Stinnett would be a rematch of last year's first-round playoff game. Obviously, Stinnett, a much better football team this year than they were a year ago. So we'll see how all that plays out, but we'll be back next Wednesday at 8 o'clock. And then, of course, our next broadcast comes your way Friday night from Antelope Field in Post. And hopefully we'll have a lot of those sound the alarm code 3 Antelope touchdowns on Friday night. A huge shout out and thank you as always to the fine folks here at Code 3. Really glad we have them in our community, and thankful that they let us come in and do our show here every now and again.
Yeah, I appreciate them, and kind of one more plug for them. They're doing a raffle. It wraps up here on November 15th. They're doing a Santa red and blue fundraiser. You can purchase tickets. They're $5 each, or you can buy 5 for $20, and that raffle kind of goes to a donation that they've done for the past few years to kind of provide the opportunity for the police department, the fire department, to do some gifts and do some things that are pretty fun for some families here locally in our community for Christmas. So it's a good little deal. So if you want to come out and support them, they're doing that for a couple more weeks.
Yep, absolutely. And come do that and come get you a drink or lunch.
a nice sandwich or
nice
salad.
sandwich or salad. They do it right here at Code 3. But until next time, we will say good night
God bless.
and go Lopes.
And wreck 'em.
And wreck 'em.